scared to be on stage. There are so many things in my head, so much that I want to speak to you all, share, but I don't know how to say it. When I told my husband this, he barely looked up from his phone and he said, Meera will help you. Meera? I furrowed my brows, squinted my eyes, looked at him and said, who is this Meera? I knew Ajay, Karthik, Hemant from the office. I even knew Kavya, who was that harrowed mother of a teenager, who kept asking for leaves. But Meera? He didn't even look up. He said, I know you don't like Siri, Alexa, Gemini. You're very nationalist. So I gave her an Indian name, Meera. An AI assistant to write my speech on my life experiences to tell you all. Kind of expansive, right? But scary. So I said, no way, and I walked out of the room. But that's the spectrum of possibilities today. And that also is how life is. As a human being and as an actor, I believe that life rarely runs in straight lines. It is a spectrum of colors. Some bright, some loud, some soft, some unexpected. But it's those colors that form the real you, that make you who you are. And that's why I love the tagline, illuminating the unseen edges of tomorrow. Because I truly believe it's that inner light that each and every one of us have. If we believe in that light and take that one step in faith, it just begins a new tomorrow, as it did for me. So let me start right at the beginning. I am afraid of getting on the stage, and the only time that I ever went on stage before as a child was when I was in a school play. And I urged my parents to come and watch me there. I was a tree. Yes. And I got so nervous seeing them there that I fell down, a tree that fell down, and I saw the look of disappointment in my father's eyes. Oh, I don't think I can forget that. My father, a highly accomplished man, with 3 lines of degrees on his visiting card back then. But apart from that, he was also extremely artistically inclined. He knew how to play about 7-8 instruments. He knew how to compose music. He even knew how to sing. So it was but natural that he would expect us to have some of his genes. You know, being the eldest of 3 daughters, I was the son that he never had. So naturally, I was pushed forward up to the forefront for everything. But I wasn't good enough. I gave up on my dancing. I never learned any instruments. As for my voice, oh my God, he said I was so shrill that it was tormenting to the ears. I just wasn't good enough. And yet, when I touched upon that inner light, here I am today as an actor, loved almost worldwide, and known for the delicacy of her voice. And would you believe it? Just a couple of months ago, I even managed to sing. It's there on Instagram, you can check it out. But that's what life's possibilities are when you trust the inner light that shines within you. But back then, as a child, it left me feeling wanting. I was constantly searching for a second validation from the people that I loved, from the people that were around me. First from my parents, then from my peers, my teachers, my husband, and my in-laws. I got married pretty young. And for that validation of love, I decided in a Marwadi household to cook a most fancy meal. Chinese. Yes, yes. Back then, 37 years ago, Chinese and Italian were the only two exotic cuisines that were served at weddings. So I chose Chinese. So I went into the kitchen without any household help, finely diced the vegetables, cooked the rice al dente so that it doesn't turn into a Chinese pulao. And as I was frying the veg dumplings, I recollected my father marinating the chicken in juliennes of ginger and garlic. And, it was a veg household. So I took out those veg dumplings and put them in the simmering Manchurian sauce. I'd made Hakka noodles, and I'd made the manchow soup, and there I laid the porcelain on the table and called my family. This is the meal that I've cooked. They all sat down. My father-in-law looked at me and said, "Beta, papad aur chutney kahan hai?" Where is the papadam and where is the achar or the pickle? Chinese. Papad, chutney. I spent the whole afternoon crying in my bedroom, swearing and vowing never to cook for them again. But that validation of being the best cook ever was so ingrained into me. And especially when, as every Indian husband does, my husband would keep repeating, "Mere maa ke haath ka khana," the way that my mother cooks food. Now, honestly, in today's times, if all those mother-in-laws cook better than their daughter-in-laws, today we would not have good food in our houses, right? But anyway, that was then. And as a 20-year-old something, the constant reminder of not being good enough somehow struck in my brain. And though Maine Pyar Kiya came sometime in between to redeem me from this inferiority complex, all that I ever wanted, just all that I ever wanted was to be the perfect wife and to be the best daughter-in-law, and I had to make good food. I just had to learn how to do it right. Swamped with kitchen smells, undone nails. When you get ready in front of the mirror, you can put the best makeup on and wear your most expensive clothes, but if your heart is wrinkled with sadness, it just takes away that luster. I wasn't good enough. And when we went out as a couple, every other woman looked better, conversed better, carried herself better, and I was stuck into that void of nothingness. I became quieter, more into myself, and then I saw the light. My children, they were my light. They were my reason for my existence, my being. And they shone bright. They excelled in their studies, excelled in sports, and was called upon for every school play, both of them. And that was only because they had the freedom from the fear of failure. I didn't put them into 10 classes. I didn't give them tuitions. All that I did was not expect a goldfish to climb a tree. They lived their life. They did what their heart desired. And they shone bright. And then they grew up. They grew up, and once again, I felt that lack of, I'm not good enough for anyone now. Who am I? And I looked at my photographs and past articles where I was lauded as the next superstar and wondered, could I get back to that little stardust around there? You know, I laugh now when my children are asked the question of nepotism. If I couldn't open a door back then for myself, really? Can I do that for them? I mean, the fact remains that the love and respect that I get from the industry and people worldwide is still there. But like Marshall Goldsmith said, what got you here is not going to get you there. You have to constantly reinvent yourself. And when that whirlpool of emotions keeps playing in your mind, it sends you down that black hole, that rabbit hole of pain, and that's when it struck. I woke up one morning to my right hand not moving at all. It just lay limp by my side. No, it wasn't a paralytic attack. A series of MRIs and X-rays and tests and doctors, they told me I had calcification and tendinitis and bursitis, and my shoulder had de-aligned itself, so I couldn't move my hand. From being a superwoman who was juggling between household chores, managing her children, trying to get that little stardust back into her life, suddenly, would I be dependent on people to feed me, to clothe me, to help me do my daily chores? No, I wasn't ready to take that. I couldn't live like that. That's when they say, in your darkest night, you find your light. And that's what happened to me. I realized that it wasn't the validation from people outside. It was what I believed in. The faith, the resilience, the courage that I had inside, I had to light it up again. I had to illuminate those unseen edges of that prism called life and make my own spectrum of light. So I studied. I studied and I learned. I did plenty of workshops, a lot of courses from UPenn, from Stanford, from AFPA, learned about fitness, nutrition, holistic healing, functional training, and how to heal myself back to life. Today, I exercise. I travel around the world sharing my experiences. I moderate between doctors and patients. I moderate between doctors and doctors, trying to get the general practitioner back only for the reason that they should be able to help people in the world of specialization today. I've also managed to complete a lot of films. I did Thalaivi, I did Radhe Shyam with You Darling Prabhas. I even have managed to wrap up a historical extravaganza called Raja Shivaji, slated for release next year. Of course, and manage the Instagram singing too. Today I cook close to the Michelin chefs. And it's all because I believed in that inner light. And I truly feel that each and every one of you have that within yourself. That light can open a spectrum of colors that you had never, ever envisaged in your life. You just have to trust yourself. And today, as we honor ourselves with today's tagline, the spectrum of possibilities, I do truly believe that we can take our lives forward with grace, courage, and resilience, as I have. And as you can see, what I have achieved, don't let those edges of validation and containment that the society expects us to be boxed in stop you from being who you are. Just yourself. Thank you.